If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart and Tommy Beer. Let's get to it, New York.
So let's get to a preview of Friday. We could be watching a preview of the Knicks' first-round matchup in the playoffs because they face the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. Currently, Cavaliers 4th in the Eastern Conference. They are 4 games ahead of New York, who are 5th. So Knicks not catching them probably for that 4th overall seed. The Cleveland had been playing outstanding ball of late. They did have their 8-game win streak snapped by the Atlanta Hawks. That game came down to a 1-possession game on Tuesday. Hawks beating the Cavs. So the Cavs have their win streak snapped, but they've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA. We talked about it for the last few weeks how they've had this really easy schedule, and that continues. I think they still have one of the 27th, 28th easiest schedules remaining. Now, every time these teams have played, they've been really entertaining games. Knicks beat the Cavs in their last matchup on January 24th. Knicks do have the season series lead as of right now. So I ask you this, Tommy, like, how much do you feel like we can take away from the result of this game, knowing that this may end up being a playoff matchup?
Yeah, I don't think too much, to be honest, because like I said, I think both teams recognize that there's a very high likelihood that they're going to face each other in that first round series, which will be the marquee matchup in the Eastern Conference in terms of series appeal. And I mean, listen, you can't write the script. The Knicks don't get Donovan Mitchell. He ends in the New York kid. He ends up going to Cleveland. And it just the other thing about this week is the Knicks' two best players this week in their 2 wins, probably going back 4 games now, have been IQ and Grimes, and those are the 2 guys that were discussed in the potential trade. So it's kind of like this underlying thing all season. Randle would struggle, and Twitter would say, "Well, good thing we didn't trade him for Mitchell." But you don't say that about IQ, who's going to win 6th Man of the Year, and Grimes, who's emerging as a legit NBA caliber, starting caliber 2 guard. At a minimum, it seems like that's his floor right now. So to give up a 6th Man of the Year and a good starting 2-way 3-and-D 2 guard and draft capital, in addition to RJ Barrett, which is up in the air right now, but whatever it would have taken, at least one of those 2 guys, if not both IQ and Grimes, in addition to Barrett, depending on what the draft capital was, that will all be talked about ad infinitum in the days and the weeks. Because we'll have 5 days in between the end of the regular season, and then you get the play-in tournament, then you get the start of the postseason. So this will be a very hyped series, a lot of attention. Stephen A. Smith screaming about, please don't lose to Donovan Mitchell. And we kid Stephen A., but he'll be speaking for a lot of Knicks fans. It would hurt that much more. So there's a lot of emotions and stuff going. So roundabout way, I don't think each coaching staff recognizing that these 2, it's like when 2 football teams are playing each other in the preseason, like the 3rd game of the preseason, but they're also going to play each other the 4th week of the regular season. You're not going to use your usual personnel. You're going to do, you're not going to run your bread and butter stuff on 3rd and 1, your go-to play. You're going to do it, something off the back of the playbook. Because again, you don't want your opponent to get a feel and a look at, how you plan on taking advantage of them. So for that reason, I wouldn't put too much into it. If the Knicks had lost Wednesday, then the Heat are only a half game back, or a game and a half back, and the Nets are only a half game back. Then it gets a little more complicated. There's a little more pressure to win. But seeing as Randle's out, seeing as the Knicks, collectively, I'm sure took a big deep breath last night, and their fan base as well, took a lot of pressure off this game. The Cavs were just a game and a half behind behind Philadelphia. Philly's the 3 seed, Cleveland the 4 seed. But until they lost Monday to Atlanta, and then the Sixers last night beat the Mavs. It looked like that game came right down to the wire. So now it's now it's 2.5 again, which seems probably unlikely for, even though Philly has a very tough schedule, certainly not out of the realm of possibility. But again, looking big picture, what is there, 75-80% chance that these 2 teams match up in the first round. So I don't think they'll put all their cards on the table in this matchup Friday night.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, not to say they had to run the table per se, but this last little swing here where Sixers get a tough win, they get a tough loss. I think they were hoping they could beat the Hawks, and then not in Dallas has been kind of up and down, but Dallas is a desperate team, so they kind of hope that Philly would win. That would have made things very interesting if that flips now it's a half game because, like you said, Philly has the second toughest schedule left in the NBA season. Cleveland has, as I said, the 28th toughest schedule, so that would have made things interesting. Now 2.5 games, that's a lot to catch up. I don't know what the tiebreaker is like, but you would think that Philly would have you think that Philly would definitely want to get that because they don't want to face Milwaukee in a potential second round matchup. Whereas I think if you're Cleveland, I don't think you really worry about that much. Like, I think home field advantage was the most important thing for them. That is not locked yet, but is almost locked. I think with a win, probably they would get that, I guess, because Cleveland Knicks have which maybe that's the only reason why maybe this game doesn't mean something to them, because this is the team that's behind them. So both have 5 games to play. So you do the math there. Knicks behind 4. If they win this game, they clinch that 4 seed in that home court advantage. But I don't think they worry so much about if they play the Knicks or if they play the Nets. I think that's something that they don't. I think they prefer to play Knicks, but it's not something that they're going to kill themselves to make sure they get that 3 seed. So I agree. I'm not sure how much you take away from this. I also think it's hard to take away a lot from this game as far as a playoff preview because Randle will almost certainly not play. So how the Cavs guard the Knicks in this game, I don't think will look anything like how they'll guard them in a playoff series.
The other thing to note, Jared Allen did not play Tuesday night in the Cavs loss to the Hawks. He's dealing with a strained right groin. So I believe he's listed as questionable. I'm not sure if they've submitted their injury report for Friday's game yet. But obviously, this late in the season, a groin injury, I would not be surprised at all if they err on the side of caution, keep him out an extra day. Isaac Okoro also dealing with some knee soreness. He starts for them. Is not really involved offensively, but more of a perimeter defender. He also missed Tuesday's loss to the Hawks with a knee issue. So they're probably going to be without 2/5 of their starting lineup as well. Something else to factor in to not put too much weight into the outcome of Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, if the Knicks are going to find a way to get a win in this one, I think that one of the first guys you got to look at, and the guy we kind of glossed over it, honestly, in the last segment, is Obi Toppin. I mean, he's now going to be a guy who's going to be relied on a bunch, and we know the matchup he'll have playing against a guy like Evan Mobley, who's, you mentioned, one of the NBA's rising stars in this league. Obi Toppin has been misused. Obi Toppin has not been, really relied on the way he should, given his skill set. But this is kind of it. Like, he's gonna have, up to 30 to 35 minutes probably, if he plays well, to go out there and show what he has. And we know that when he's had these opportunities, he's particularly played well. I'll be very fascinated to see how the Knicks incorporate him with this starting lineup. Like, he hasn't really played with these guys very much. Like, Tibbs kind of goes with the hockey style substitution where the first unit plays only with the first unit and the second unit plays only with the second unit and plus one guy. So 3 guys who are on the bench and then the 4 guys on the bench and the 5th guy, usually RJ, plays with them. So he hasn't really got a lot of time playing with Jalen Brunson or playing next to Mitchell Robinson that much. So this is going to be very important to see how he responds playing in this moment. This is a team that almost drafted him. Cleveland was so high on him, and they obviously played at Dayton, so there was a lot of pressure to take Obi Toppin in that draft. They went with Isaac Okoro instead. So I'm looking to see Obi Toppin kind of make a statement here. I'm hoping that he kind of shows that, not just to the Knicks, but, kind of to the rest of the league who maybe, ask for his services this offseason. Hey, this is what I can bring to the table, because they're going to need him in this one. Like he said, Evan Mobley's an absolute load to handle, whether it be defensively, whether it be what he brings on the offensive glass, his ability to score on his own. He's an all around player.
Yeah, Mobley's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Probably still too young to win it, but don't be surprised if he's in the top 3, top 2, going forward.
He's one of those rare guys that could legitimately guard 5 positions.
Yes. That being said, listen, Obi Toppin fans have called for Obi to get significant minutes for years now, quite literally years, plural. Obviously, this season, it hasn't gone as they would have hoped. Part of that, most of that is due to the fact that Randle, against all odds, has had the best season of his career and is on pace to was an all-star, should be named to an All-NBA third team. So, we'll see how it plays out. But listen, it's a tough matchup against a great defender and a guy who can kind of punish you down low. So Obi's going to have to play both ends of the floor. But this is if you're a top 8 pick and, you think you're deserving of more minutes and, whether you view yourself as a starter in New York or for the team that's going to trade for you this offseason or the team that you're going to sign with as a restricted free agent the following offseason, these are the opportunities to show that you have the goods, that you have what it takes. Last year at the end of the season, obviously the games didn't matter all that much, but he played incredibly well when he got an opportunity to start. The postseason, his rookie year, he was one of the very few Knicks that didn't look awed by the big stage and actually exceeded his regular season production in that albeit disappointing playoff series against the Hawks. He contributed, I think it was, he had a bunch of games with I think it was 3 games with at least double-digit points off the bench. So he stepped up when he's asked to, and he'll have an opportunity to do so. Again, Knicks have options. They can go hard at 4. They can bring in Sims and play him alongside Hartenstein. We've seen that when Mitch Rob was sidelined at times. We can see RJ at 4. Barrett talked a little bit about it after the game. The NBA's positionless. I feel comfortable wherever it is. So Tibbs has options, but Obi should get the first opportunity, should get the first crack at it. He should start. And, we'll see what he brings to the table. Obviously, it'll be fascinating to see if he can step in and step up.
And last thing on this game here, what do you feel about the Knicks' chances against Cleveland in a first-round matchup, kind of coming into this game? Because that's going to be a lot of conversation as well.
Sure. Listen, a lot of it depends on Randle. Hopefully we get good news the next couple of days and he's healthy. He's going to sit out a few games, but should be good to go for the playoffs, etc. And Knicks avoid injuries from here to then. And Jared Allen is healthy. His groin issue goes away. And, hopefully both teams are at full strength. That's anybody, fan of any team, that's what you're going to hope for. Yeah. Assuming that's the case, that it is a great series. Styles make fights. That would shape up as a terrific series. There's a million storylines. The Donovan Mitchell, the IQ, and Barrett and Grimes not getting traded, and Mitchell out in Cleveland, and how does Randle respond after his second taste of the postseason after a poor first season? Can Brunson rekindle the magic that made him $100 million in the postseason last year? Ironically, playing against the guy that he exploited in Donovan Mitchell on both ends of the floor. Mitchell wants to prove that was not the Donovan Mitchell that you saw, at the end of his time with Utah. A million different, incredible storylines woven together. I think it has all the earmarks of a 7-game series. A close game, second half, game 7. I think the teams are that tightly matched. I think you can make a strong argument of why the Knicks will be able to pull out a victory. Do they have to win in 6? Can they win a game 7 on the road? I think this team is one of the teams capable of doing that, given their road success. But you don't want to play game 7. It's so much can happen. I think you definitely give the Knicks a legit shot. Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? I'd say it's somewhere in that range. So I expect it to be a tightly contested series, but I give the Knicks it's certainly a decent chance to win. If not, if I probably, as of this morning, as of today, I'd probably pick them to win the series. To be honest, I think they played that well. I think they played that well for the last 3 months. But Cleveland certainly would be a tall order. But it will be fascinating to see, certainly.
Yeah, it'd be a great first-round matchup. I mean, I've been saying for a while that I think that this is the team that Nick need to get in this first round. They get them that they'll advance. I really think that Cleveland, one of the things that I think hurts Cleveland in the series against the Knicks is their lack of depth. They essentially don't really have a bench. It's Karis LeVert, and that's it. And LeVert's been starting because of the injuries that they had. But, Osman, Rubio, Diakite, these are the guys. Isaac Earl's been in and out of the lineup. These are the guys that have been playing minutes for them off the bench, and the Knicks have now seen with IQ and Hart wants to mention. I mean, there's a weapons that they have coming off the bench, and I think that really levels the playing field from a potential Donovan Mitchell explosion that may happen in this series. So I think it'd be a great series. I think that I agree. Maybe not much can be taken away from this game, but I think it'll be fun seeing these guys line up, knowing that in about 3 weeks that this is going to be these two teams lining up essentially to, for all the marbles of keeping their season alive. So it should be fun.
Just your point. It's crazy. Think about the Knicks bench. IQ is going to be 6th man of the year. Hartenstein, has he been the second? Has he been the best backup center in the NBA this season? You could make a strong case. Like both ends of the floor impact is plus minus. Is 10th in the NBA second half of the season post All-Star break. He's actually tied with Giannis, right behind Joel Embiid. Josh Hart, has there been a more impactful trade deadline acquisition? We know about what he brings, and then you get the X factors like Obi. No question. The importance of a bench is a little bit, coaches will tell you, it's a little bit minimized in the postseason. Multiple days off in between games. The pace of the game tends to be slowed down, but it'll be on Tibbs and the Knicks coaching staff to ramp up that pace and take advantage of the depth. So that'll be part of the X's and O's strategy that gets thrown in.
Should be a good one. Knicks Cavs Friday. I don't know if they call it the Q anymore. I don't know what they call that arena. I never know these arenas anymore because they change names.
The house that LeBron built. That's what they should do.
Exactly. In Cleveland. Should be a good start. 7:30 start there. That's going to do it.